Hey everybody, it's Anna. Time for the final card in this week's tarot story. We close with a major arcana card, so that's a life lesson card. And this one is Judgment Reversed. So I think of Judgment as being the resurrection card because that's literally what's depicted on the Rider-Waite. If you turn it upright, you can see there's an angel blowing his horn over the cemetery, calling the corpses out of their graves. So this is very close to Christian imagery of the last days or, the end of the world. So these corpses are being called out of their old life into something new. That's the idea. That's the calling of the Judgment card. It is time to bless and leave your old life behind. All the lessons you learned, the struggles you had, the identities, even the triumphs you had, all of that, anything beneficial has been integrated into your soul at this point. Now we can let go of the attachment of these things as being connected to us, leave them in the grave, and we step out of that place of death into new life, fully ready for the new thing that's happening because we're leaving no attachments behind, right? That's what I think of the Judgment card as inviting us to. This one came to us reversed, and that suggests to me we're having a hard time or feeling a little blocked around this transition. And this actually makes sense to me if we look at the totality of the tarot story this week. The struggle has been mainly with the mind not being clear on what is happening. So the King of Swords reversed, which was the Tuesday card, was like the king wants to help us, wants to, help us find the path and create an action step that gets us to the goal. But right now it doesn't know what our goal is. It has no direction to go in. So the king is maybe trying to be helpful, but is confused, doesn't really know what we're trying to do. And so a confused king in this case might direct us in lots of different directions. Like we're just sort of trying this, trying that, trying this, because it's trying to help us get moving, because it's maybe nervous that it doesn't know where we're going, trying to get us moving. But again, it's undirected. It's not wise movement because it has no connection to our intuitive wisdom. So, and then the Eight of Swords reversed was the same kind of idea. The mind thinks it's its job to tell us where we're going. So it's trying really hard to come up with the solution. But unless you're a mind intuitive, your intuition doesn't come from the mind. It comes from the heart or the body, which means the mind does not have access to the wisdom it needs in order to surface the correct goal. So the mind is putting a lot of effort and energy into doing something it really can't do. And if we follow the mind, we're going to end up losing a lot of energy, sort of just trying this, trying that, going in lots of different directions. In addition, as the Judgment card shows us, the mind, since it doesn't have access to intuitive wisdom, inspirational wisdom, the mind can only repeat the patterns it already knows. So if it's going to try to get us unstuck, it thinks we're stuck. We're not stuck, but it thinks we're stuck. It's trying to get us unstuck. It might pull on a pattern it used 5 years ago that worked then, or it'll pull on a pattern someone else gives it. Maybe I'll try this. It's going to try to pull patterns that already exist in the world, either in our history or around us, because that's all it knows to do, and in which case it's going to keep misleading us. It's attaching us to patterns that don't match us, instead of recognizing that what we are doing now is entirely new. That's why the mind's confused. Not because it's lazy or dumb or not resourceful, but because it doesn't have access to this new thing. This new thing has never happened before. The mind has never observed it or watched it or understood it. So that's why the mind is a little at a loss. So we want to encourage the mind to recognize that we are starting something entirely new. And for a while, you're going to be almost entirely in your body or heart intuitive mode. It's not, the clarity is not going to surface for a while because it takes some time to get into that flow, to get into the momentum, to allow your energy to kind of peak. At some point, the energy peaks to the point that you go, oh, this is what it's going to look like in the world. That's when the mind's invited to step in. Until then, though, the only efforts the mind can use are going to be efforts that keep us in the grave. Anything the mind does right now is going to attach us to old patterns, old ideas, and really work against us. So we want the mind to, as much as possible, relax, release, just float for a while. Let the mind float for a while the heart or the body do their thing. There is a way for them to work in concert as a partnership, but the mind has to learn it's not the leader here. Really, it's the heart or the body. They're the leaders. The soul is the arbiter of the team. They're the ones that make sure everybody stays safe and happy and flowy. But the intuition's where the genius comes from. And the mind just has to wait until its role becomes clear. And that way it won't keep us with one foot in the grave. See you next time for our next tarot story. Bye.